In this age of smartphones, the world's at our fingertips. For example, Uber has no trouble finding you when you need a ride, but that may not be true if you need an ambulance. Today's smartphones are often too smart for the 911 systems we're calling. Channel 8's investigative reporter Maureen has been looking into problems right here in Tulsa. That's tonight's Channel 8 Close-Up.
The cell phone.
Hello? I'm having an interview with Channel 8 sitting here about these cell phones.
For Juliet Barnett and millions of others, it's a lifeline, especially when she fell in April and called 911.
It's very, very important to me, very important, because I would probably just lay there and probably die if I couldn't get no help.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
Most calls coming into the Tulsa County 911 center are from cell phones, a big change from the days of landlines, which automatically display the caller's address to the 911 dispatcher.
911, what's the address of emergency?
With cell phones, that's not the case. Sometimes the dispatcher can't be sure where you are.
That's our biggest challenge. Our absolute biggest challenge is, especially if they don't know, which there are legitimate reasons that someone might not be able to tell you where they're at.
When you call 911 on your cell phone provider is supposed to help dispatchers out. The technology is complicated, but what they have to do is hit 2 cell phone towers and then draw a triangle to pinpoint where you're at. The FCC requires it, and they've got to be close, within about 50 to 300 yards.
If you're talking 71st and Memorial, where do you start looking?
Kimberly Faxon agreed to let us test cell phone accuracy right from the Tulsa County 911 Center. We tried the 5 largest cell phone carriers in Tulsa, starting with U.S. Cellular.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
This is Maureen with the test. The 911 system placed us on Pine Street, several hundred yards away.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
This is Maureen with the test. The results from Sprint were similar. The dispatcher screen said we were quite a few hundred yards away.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
This is Maureen conducting the test. On an AT&T phone, we showed up right on the front walk of the 911 center.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
This is Maureen. Test. T-Mobile also put us close, within 15 yards.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
This is Maureen with the test with Verizon. For the first few minutes, Verizon couldn't figure out where we were. Finally, after about 3 minutes, it put us in a field behind the 911 center. We reached out to all 5 carriers for comment. Each of them told us the accuracy of tracking a call depends on technology available at the 911 centers, as well as where the call is coming from, which is exactly what we found out in Jinx.
Jinx 911, what is your emergency?
We tested cell phone calls within the Jinx 911 center, outside the building, and in downtown. Kurt Bickle with NCOG says even though the results were good, it depends on where you're calling from.
I think that's probably, building itself is probably going to be a lot different, because they do create, I would think they would construct those to where they're resistant. So. And he says even though there are apps on your phone that can pinpoint to right where you are, that's not the case when it comes to 911 calls. And the smartphones are ahead of the technology that resides in the 911 center for them to get that location into their system.
That's a pretty hefty distance there.
Yeah, that's got to be.
Okay, so second cycle. Now we're up here on Pine Street, just north of the building.
Meanwhile, back at the Tulsa County 911 Center, Faxon says they do everything they can to find you.
It's just that fear of knowing that someone needs help and we can't get it to them.
Go ahead. I got a busy line, y'all.
Barnett lives near the 911 Center and has faith Tulsa dispatchers can find her if she's in need.
I know I have help. If they have to come and break the door in, I have help,
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
Dispatchers say technology can be helpful, but any information you can provide on the phone is much more reliable.
911, do you need police, fire, medical? 911, do you need police, fire, medical?
A couple of things to remember. It's about technology at the 911 centers and where you're calling from. When we tested it, Jinx was a little bit better, but they have newer equipment at the dispatch center, so it really depends on where you are.
Fascinating story. So why is it that Uber may be able to find someone but not calling 911?
Well, You know when you take your phone and you can allow GPS access? You have a GPS chip in your cell phone, and that's what Uber uses to find you. When it comes to calling 911, they just have to rely on the cell phone towers.
So apps do a better job sometimes, don't they?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Maureen.
And note your environment. Thank you. All of the cell phone carriers sent us statements regarding our test. We've got all of that posted at KTUL.com.